Okay, would you like to count us down?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Brrr, brrr, brrr.
I was really nervous that you weren't going to come in there for a second.
No, I'm really talented and I'm actually like a really good podcaster, so I would never
I,
forget.
yeah, for sure. I can personally attest to that.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to Outside the Search Bar, the podcast where we try to answer questions without using Google. This is season 2, episode 2. I'm Jacob Schubach, and I'll turn it over to my sister and co-host,
Emily. Hi, everyone. So each week, you gotta stop laughing at that. Like,
it's so funny.
you can't encourage it.
I have to encourage it.
Thank you. I appreciate your undying support.
You're welcome.
So each week, Jacob and I are going to come prepared with questions that we do not know the answers to. We each have notes in our phones that are filling up with an astounding number of questions, which is honestly a testament to how little we actually know.
Of course, we would be remiss to not take your listener questions as well. So if you have a tough question that you want us to answer, us being the subject matter experts in that we have a podcast, send us an email to searchbarpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on social at searchbarpodcast.
And we're really, really, really smart. So we definitely have the answers, as you've learned from all of the previous episodes.
I feel like we should start calculating our averages because I feel like we're at least 95% of getting them right.
I don't think that, honestly.
What would you say our percentage is?
40.
40? I feel like
Yeah,
we at least are like in the vicinity of being right, which I count as right.
Okay. If we're rounding up,
Yeah.
then yeah,
rounding
95%.
Rounding up to a correct answer.
Yes, exactly.
It's the comedic, banter that, gets us to the right answer. Here we are.
Here we are. So, do you want to share with our audience what's something interesting that you've searched for this week?
I've had some pretty boring searches this week, but I did look up the menu for Din Tai Fung because it was my birthday, and that's where I chose to go because I'd never been there before. We had a table of, I believe, 12 or 13 people, and so the wait was 3 hours.
You didn't get a reservation?
They don't do reservations for tables more than 7 or something like that. And so my friends went early. Shout out Maddie and Amanda. Maddie's been on the podcast. They went and waited early and had a great time doing that, I guess, which I think is very slay.
Nice.
I will say that I had a fantastic time at Din Tai Fung. It was so delicious. The food was excellent. The wine was also excellent. If you happen to be my trainer, who works at the gym that I go to, and are like, "Hey Jacob, that's not paleo. You're on a 6-week challenge paleo diet." Just pretend you didn't hear this. Like, that's totally fine.
This was recorded before that challenge started.
Exactly.
Don't ask how we got the search trends for this specific week, though. We're just very talented.
It's just something. I have also been Googling, like, is this thing paleo? But unfortunately, I'm doing that while it's in my mouth. And turns out bacon is not paleo. And I was well, I've already eaten one piece, so I may as well keep going.
Fair.
But I have to say, it was like, it falls into the meat category. It should be paleo.
I honestly don't even know what paleo is, so.
It's you're only supposed to eat things that you could get in the Paleolithic era. So like meat, fruit,
not
vegetables,
Twinkies.
Nuts.
Okay.
Not Twinkies.
Not Twinkies. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I've really been craving a sub from Jimmy John's. And every time I pass by Jimmy John's, I'm just like, Jimmy John's.
Did I ever tell you about the one time John got scammed from Jimmy John's?
How do you get scammed from a Jimmy John's?
So this was like a very interesting crime.
Was it like a $14 crime?
Yes, but not even. So it's really good, honestly. So he got this notification. I think it was like an email receipt that like 2 sub orders were placed in like Florida or something under his account.
Why does he have a Jimmy John's account?
I don't know, honestly.
I go to Jimmy John's all the time. I should get a Jimmy John's account.
You should. So he like called the location and he was like, "Hey, like, I don't know if you have an order for John, but like I live in Virginia. I didn't place this. Like, this wasn't me." And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, like it just got picked up." Like, what? And so what ended up happening, the guy who answered the phone was also like, this happens all the time. So apparently this person is going around and somehow hacking Jimmy John's accounts. But he's not even using people's money. He's like checking to see if they've earned a free sub. And if they have, he then redeems the free sub. So he's not stealing from the people. He's stealing from the corporation, but
Honestly,
also
work.
kind of still the people. I know. Like we were both just like, I'm not mad about it, honestly. Like,
So did he get the free sub back?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I feel like he should have, but I doubt that Jimmy John's customer service was like, yeah, you can have it back.
Yeah, probably not. And I don't think he really fought it because he was like, it didn't, like, it was free, you know?
Yeah.
And if this person's really smart enough to scam my Jimmy John's account from across the country, like, get
Good
that
for
free
him.
sub.
Florida man.
Truly.
All right. What have you been searching, Emily?
So I had a couple interesting searches,
Oh,
I'd
she's
like to think.
interesting.
I think so. So the first one was how do you duet an Instagram reel? Because I'm apparently officially old.
Hmm.
This Instagram reel came up in my feed and it was like, if your sister really loves you, then she'll like record her doing this dance. And it's like this really dumb looking dance. So obviously I sent it to my sister and she recorded herself doing it and she did like a really nice job. She like duetted it and like
Mhm.
then screen recorded it because we're not gonna actually post it anywhere. But then she insisted that I had to do it back. And because I didn't know how to tell my sister that I don't actually love her, I did it.
And so you had to learn
I
how to use Instagram.
So I had to learn how to use Instagram. I really struggled with it at first. Like I couldn't figure out how to like record it without holding it. I didn't even know how to duet. So we can share that video if we want on our Instagram because
Yeah.
I'm sure the people want to see my
The people are
dance.
begging for us to post. They love when we post.
They really do. The other thing I Googled was people copying other people's dances. And this was a request verbatim from Emmy, who was also on our podcast last season. But once I was scrolling through Instagram and this like parody account came up of someone mocking Miley Cyrus's Seven Things I Hate About You music video.
That's an excellent song.
It's an excellent song for sure.
And an excellent
The
music
music
video.
video, looking back at it, is like a little like kind of cringy.
Oh, it's bad. Oof, I'll have to watch it.
No, it's just like she does like weird things. She'll just be like, it's like very like Debbie Ryan fixing her hair kind of vibes.
Oh, okay. Mhm. Radio Rebel.
Yeah, and this guy was like really just like mocking it, and Emmy was losing it. She was like crying. She was laughing so hard, and honestly, it was really funny. And now every time she sees me, she's like, I want to watch that video again. And I had to like explain to her that I didn't like it or save it. I have no idea how to find anything on Instagram Reels anymore. So she suggested that I type into Google people copying other people's dances to see if it would come up.
Okay.
It did not.
I love that.
So I feel like we both learned a lot this week from Google.
I think so too.
Thank you.
All
Now
right.
let's find out.
Oh.
Oh. Let's find out what.
Go ahead.
let's let's find out
Okay.
what the rest of America learned from Google this week.
All right, so that takes us to segment one, What's Trending, where we discuss the latest Google search trends from the week and give context, thoughts, comments, concerns, and opinions about what people are searching. So the first thing that we wanted to discuss was, I believe, Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is tomorrow, and it will be yesterday for when this episode comes out. Emily, do you have any predictions on what the groundhog will do?
I think he is not gonna see his shadow.
So that means what? Spring's around the corner?
Yeah.
Or the other one?
Because I think if he sees his shadow, that means there's 6 more weeks of winter.
Oh, okay.
And the other one is spring comes at the normal time, which also happens to be 6 more weeks of winter.
Love that.
Right?
I think he's gonna see his shadow because it's been cold in Los Angeles and that makes me uncomfortable.
Mm.
And therefore I think it's gonna be a long winter.
Interesting. We had sun today, which is why I'm thinking that like East Coast is gonna have sun tomorrow. And therefore Oh, wait. If I think there's going to be sun, then there's going to be a shadow.
Not if he's not perceptive.
That's true. I think that the groundhog is going to be a little bit ignorant of his surroundings tomorrow
Mhm.
and not see anything.
Good for him. Good for him.
Good for him.
So slay for that groundhog. Whatever happens, happens.
Hmm.
What else were we going to talk about on this list?
Tom Brady.
Yes. Today, Tom Brady announced that he quit his job.
Have you ever quit your job, Jacob? Have
I have quit my job several times.
you ever quit the same job more than once?
No, no, I
Ooh.
have not. I quit a job at Gary Pools and Leisure as a store clerk where I stocked chemicals. I quit my job at Pier One Imports, which it was kind of like a mutual decision. It was like a summer job. And then like they didn't ask me to come back and I didn't ask them to come back. And I was like, I don't want to be there.
That's fair.
And then I've quit several jobs since, really have a good time doing that. Where I'm just
Hmm.
like, hey babe, this ain't for me anymore.
I've quit the same job twice.
Really?
Yeah.
At the steakhouse?
No. Oh, I mean, I guess technically that was like a seasonal coming back and going. So like that would make
Mm.
sense. No, the first job I had out of college when I was at that one resort, they were like treating me really horribly. And like I walked into like the COO and I had my like letter of resignation written. And it was like, we need to talk about some stuff. And I laid it all out there of like, this is unacceptable and I'm not doing this anymore. I need you to know that this is my letter of resignation. So if you don't commit to actually changing things, I will hand this to you right now. And he's like, no, 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 it'll get better. And then about 3 weeks later, I handed him that same exact letter of resignation. I think I literally like crossed out the date that was printed on it and just rewrote it so I didn't have to reprint it because I didn't own a printer at the time.
Oh, I always print out my resignation at the company.
Oh, that's
I'm like,
bold.
I'm
That's
using your
bold.
printer and your ink, and that's it. I mean, I also usually just like email it, where I'm just like, hey
Oh,
babe,
interesting.
again, not for me.
There was another time I quit a job. I've been really aggressive when I quit jobs, apparently. Um, we like found out that like another one of my coworkers like quit like right before me. It was like the day before, and I'm like, oh, you stole my thunder, rats. And then like literally like the next day when I had planned to put in my resignation, our boss was like, yeah, so what do you think about so and so leaving? And I was like, oh yeah, like that's wild. And she's like, how do you see things moving forward like without them here?
You're like, I
And I was
don't.
like, without me. And, like I literally said that, and that's how I quit.
Was they surprised?
She cried.
Oh my god.
And then when I told her, like, yeah, no, I'm serious, then she told me that I'm making the biggest mistake of my life.
And was it the biggest mistake of your life?
No, not at all. It was really funny to see it switch from like her crying of like, oh my God, no, please don't do this, to also like, you're making a horrible decision. Like it was real.
I love when people give you unsolicited like career advice and they're always so
Hmm.
wrong. I
Yes.
remember when I was in college, I was applying for an internship and it was like a summer internship, like 3 months, whatever. And then she was like, well, actually, I expect this to be a full-time job by the time like the fall rolls around and like blah, blah, blah. How are you going to do all of these things and like have a college career and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, whatever. That's not what the job posting said. And she was like, okay, well, what is
Hmm.
your dream? Like, what do you want to do after this? And I was like, oh, at the time I wanted to work for Disney. And she was
Hmm.
like, looking at your resume, I don't think you'll ever work there. And I was like, oh my God. And you know
Why are
what?
people so yikes?
I got a job at Hulu and then Disney acquired Hulu. And you know what? I did work at Disney. So listen up, lady.
Did you ever tell her?
No, I should email her.
You should.
You know what? I really should. And be like, you know
Find
what?
her on Facebook and just post on her Facebook wall.
I want to actually call her and be like, listen, should I call her onto the podcast?
Yes.
Hey, hey,
Let's
lady.
resolve some drama. Do we have anything real to say about Tom Brady? Because I don't think either of us really know anything about him.
We don't like that man because we're from Buffalo and the Bills do not like the Patriots, which was the team that he was on. And also he cheated by like deflating footballs, according to
Mm.
my understanding. Therefore, good. Get out of the football league.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Well, now that we know what's been trending, I think it's time for us to ask a question in the question and answer segment. Emily?
Woo!
What is your question?
So this week, I get to ask a question. And the question I brought is, how is sugar-free a thing?
It's a great question.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like everything has to have a calorie. Like what?
Are you talking about like is sugar free or like 0 calories or both? Because
I
I
guess
feel like
both.
sugar free is just like it has stevia in it instead of sugar.
Yeah, it's a 0 calories.
Yeah. Okay. We've gotten to the core of the question pretty
Thank you
quickly.
for
So
probing further.
you're welcome. I will say, I personally don't love a Diet Coke or a Coke Zero. I don't know if Diet Coke has 0 calories. I don't think it does. Because then
I
why would
don't
Coke
think
Zero
so
exist?
either. I'm gonna search Diet Coke real quick.
Coke Zero does not taste good. First of all, regular Coca Cola is better, in my opinion, taste wise. Yeah, I'm like, I don't get how it has 0 calories. I understand how water has 0 calories because it just moves through your body so quickly. But Coke Zero, like, that's not gonna like evaporate from you.
Yeah, and like I just feel like when you're adding things, like how can something not have calories?
I feel like celery doesn't have calories because it takes the same amount of energy to digest it as it takes to like consume it or something like that.
Well, it still has calories. It's just
That's
such a
true.
small amount that like you said, it takes the
It
same amount or
negates
like
its,
more to diet.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like balancing out, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have any. Like based off of the logic that a calorie is the amount of energy it takes to digest something, in my head, everything has to have a calorie count. Like if I eat a sheet of paper, my body's going to be expending energy to digest that. So it has calories.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't recommend eating paper.
please do not eat paper. But like, it just doesn't make sense. And I'm very concerned that we have like artificially manufactured things that don't have calories.
Yeah, it's like drink water. It's delicious. Mm. Okay, so how would
Yeah.
you manufacture something that doesn't have calories if you had to attempt it? Like in my head, like it immediately just like pops to like a laser shooting liquid to like get rid of the calories, which I know doesn't make any sense. But like, how else are you going to get rid of the calories? Like, you're going to like put some chemicals in there? Like, what's going on?
That's interesting that that's where your head went because mine went to corn, like how your body doesn't digest corn, and that's why you poop out corn and it looks the same.
Well, you don't pee out Coke Zero.
Yeah, what if you did?
What if you did? I mean, if you do drink only Coke Zero, I imagine that your urine would be very dark. Not to the
Probably.
level of it's like the same caramely brown as a Coke Zero. Maybe. I don't know.
Are do dyes have calories? Like the artificial colors that are added to things?
I would assume that that kind of just goes through your body.
Does dye get excreted in your poop?
Probably because like when you eat Fruit Loops, it's not the same color as when you don't eat Fruit Loops. That's a fact. That's a solid fact.
That is a fact. That's definitely a fact.
um, I would assume that it's not actually like I'm sure there's like some very specific verbiage used by the Food and Drug Administration that allows them to say that it has 0 calories if it skirts around specific things. And so I'm sure if you took Coke Zero to a lab and you took Coca-Cola to a lab, while the can may say that Coca-Cola has 150 calories per can and Coke Zero has 0 calories per can, the lab would be like, this actually has 500 calories per can. Like I'm sure that it's not accurate.
Yeah, that's true. And I think if you remember our episode with Mike when we talked about like nutrition labels and we
Mm-hmm.
like learned how recently that they're made,
That is true.
And like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of regulation around it. So I would not be surprised if it's just like it gives the vibes of 0 calories.
I mean, what's the Food and Drug Administration going to do? Test it? Maybe. Maybe they
Maybe.
should. Maybe
I
they
also
should.
just recently learned. So one of my friends has had like a handful of allergic reactions
Hmm.
and she can't figure out what it's from. But apparently, like restaurants and like the nutrition facts on the back of things are not required to include every single ingredient
Really?
because like it's giving away like the secret sauce of how it's made, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So she's starting to think that it's going to be some like really, really obscure,
Chemically thing.
I don't know, seasoning, flavor, some chemical, like whatever that like companies are not legally required to list. And she's like, how the fuck am I going to eat? I
That's
don't know.
strange that they're not required
Isn't
to.
it weird?
Legislation. Let's talk about it.
Should
We
I,
need to
again,
start.
Washington, D.C., should I go knock on the Food and Drug Administration?
I need to call my congressperson. What was I gonna say? My favorite, what do you call it, item that's placed into a food product is on the goldfish packaging where it's like made with smiles.
I love
And
that too. And it's the first ingredient too.
yeah, I'm like, let me go to wherever you're producing these things and see if everyone's smiling. Because I have my suspicions.
So apparently the Food and Drug Administration is in Rockville, Maryland. So pretty
We're
close.
we're
I
gonna
have
pull
some
up to NASA.
questions.
We're gonna pull up to the FDA.
With my Coke Zero and demand they burn it or however they test the amount of energy it takes.
My Coke Zero, my podcast mic, and a smile.
And I'll probably eat the goldfish for a snack.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you are what you eat, so you have to eat smiles.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah, I agree with you that it's just like a little bit of bending the truth.
Yeah, I think that it's either bending the truth or it's like a UV laser that they just put through it, and that takes the calories out.
Or you just poop it out as it comes in.
Yeah,
That's the other option.
it's just like whoop, and then it's gone.
Mhm. Should we Google it?
Yeah.
How is 0?
Oh my God. What if it's like so chemically that like your body can't absorb the calories and that's why it doesn't have any calories? That would be
That's
really dark.
concerning. Okay. How can Diet Coke have 0 calories? We'll just
Wait, so
keep it
Diet Coke
specific.
Diet Coke
Yeah.
does have zero? Oh, interesting.
This is from sodapopcraft.com.
Hmm.
So they take chemical shortcuts to remove and replace the main caloric component in classic Coca-Cola, which is sugar.
Hmm.
So that sugar is replaced with a low calorie substitute aspartame. Aspartame?
Yeah,
Yeah.
aspartame. That one.
Nosferatu.
Aspartame, right?
Okay, so what is aspartame?
So that has the flavor of Coca-Cola or like the sweetener of Coca-Cola?
It's the sweetener because it's replacing the sugar.
Okay.
So this is a Wikipedia article for aspartame, an artificial non-saccharide sweetener, 200 times sweetener than sucrose.
Oh, it's sweeter
a-
than sugar.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's why it tastes bad.
Yeah. But it probably has calories. It's just diluted because it's so
Interesting.
much stronger.
Wait, so what is aspartame made of?
It's a methyl ester
Okay.
of the aspartic acid phenylalanine. Phenylalanine.
Here's a general rule. If you don't know how to say it,
Dipeptide.
if you don't know how to say it, don't put it in your body. It's a good rule, right?
Fair. Yeah.
I do be drinking Coke Zero sometimes though, because they have it at my office.
Oh, fair. First submitted for approval as a food ingredient in 1974. It was approved by the Food and Drug Administration in 1981.
Interesting.
Got some questions to ask.
Maybe since it's been like 40 years, we should just like take another look at it.
Yeah.
Like we should do another review.
Well, okay. So it says it's one of the most rigorously tested food ingredients.
Oh, great.
And there are reviews by over 100 governmental regulatory bodies who found the ingredient safe for consumption at current levels.
Okay.
I'm just looking at like the contents tab now, and it says safety and health effects, and it's cancer, neurotoxicity symptoms, water quality, and headaches. Very interesting.
So what part of that says safe for consumption?
Right? Let's look at the chemistry. Many details are proprietary. There's chemical synthesis in that the two carboxyl groups of aspartic acid are joined into an anhydride.
I was just about to say that.
So it seems like we're pushing things together that like don't normally get pushed together.
Interesting. My other thing about like that is like, where did you find that?
Like, how did you make that up?
Like, where did you get those particles and why are you mixing them together? Like, did you just like dig up a bunch of, I don't know, chemistry things? I never understood that in chemistry class when they're like, this is liquid zinc. And I'm like, where did you get that? Where did you get that? What part of Earth produced that? Is there a mine full of that liquid? Confusing. Probably.
Probably.
And question for another day. All right. So is it actually calorie free?
Okay. Is Coke zero? Actually, 0 calories.
A shocking expose.
Okay, this is Healthline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when was this written? 2019. Coke Zero, which has recently been rebranded as Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Sounds like someone got them in trouble. Contains 0 calories and sugar.
Oh, but the nutrition label, I'm pretty sure, still says 0. Total.
Yeah.
But that's interesting that it's marked again. Like we said, it's like a weird little workaround as 0 calories.
Technicality.
Interesting.
That's interesting because this article says the artificial sweeteners used are controversial.
You can always have multiple sources that tell you different things about the same topic. So that's why you got to look at multiple web pages or books. You love a book. All right. So do you feel like your question has been sufficiently answered? Or do you have anything else you want to ask?
We just fabricated it. And that's concerning.
We just made it up.
You just made it up.
Lit.
Okay. One last thing to note is that aspartame has approximately 4 calories per gram. But I think because it's so sweet, like we're getting down into like decimals.
Okay. Cool.
That makes me feel better.
Love
it. We learned something today.
Yes. I think we did a great job. If you guys enjoyed that, be sure to find us on social at Search Bar Podcast. And my handle is I Got Schubach, IGOTSCHUPBACH on all platforms.
And if you have a question that you would like answered, please feel free to email us at searchbarpodcast@gmail.com. Or again, follow us on social at Search Bar Podcast and DM us, reply to our posts. Maybe you'll see the video of me that I sent to Lizzie because I love her as a sister. You never know what you'll find.
And don't forget to give us 5 stars on every platform that you listen to us on.
Every single one. Like even just like comment on Instagram with 5 stars.
Yeah.
That would be the dream, honestly.
Love that.
Until next time, happy searching.
Happy searching. Bye. Outside the Search Bar is a Perfectly Done Toast podcast production.